Presidential promise to put the law before a family.
I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Letting the world know that he will not wipe away the decision of 12 of his son's peers.
Was asked directly, and he has said he wouldn't pardon his son if he gets convicted.
Let's wait and see what happens if he loses.
Yeah, but he said it.
He's going to get pardoned by his dad. There's no question about that.
The president has ruled out pardoning his son.
Major commitment from the president, accepting the outcome of the trial and also pledging not to pardon his son.
So the challenge for him is really to continue to live up to his values when it was really personal, and he did that today.
It seems like a pretty normal, straightforward answer, but it takes new weight when we see what Trump is saying about the outcome of his trial, what we're hearing from other Republicans who say they don't accept the jury's verdict here in New York.
The contrast is profound. To sit there and say, well, I'm not going to intervene in the legal process, and I wouldn't pardon my son. One side, Democrats and Joe Biden protecting the justice system. And on the other, Republicans and Trump protecting Trump.
Our current president of the United States has so much respect for the law that he has said he would not pardon his son. I mean, again, it's all about the contrast.
President Biden saying, I will respect whatever this jury decides, versus Donald Trump after he was convicted on 34 counts, saying the entire system is rigged against him.
Their latest attack has been that Joe Biden has politicized and weaponized the DOJ, right? That was the whole argument around Donald Trump's conviction. And this week, of course, Hunter Biden was found guilty, and Joe Biden has very clearly said he would not pardon his son, he would not commute his sentence. How stark is this difference? I mean, how can Republicans keep making this argument now that Joe Biden has really put it out there? Where's Hunter? And he stood there in a courtroom, flanked by his family, and he's accepted his sentence.
He is not pardoning his son, which he could do. These are federal charges. Right. He is not doing that. He is not doing it because he is living what it means to have a rule of law in this country. Yeah. And if you want to know if he believes it, you could actually see what is happening with his own son.
The president, Anderson, has been really clear that he is going to accept the outcome of the trial no matter what happens.
So Joe Biden's gotten asked about, talking about law and order. He's gotten asked if he would pardon his son. He has said no. On the other side, you've got Donald Trump, who has said that he will pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. Yeah. They're not even his sons. They're just sons of bitches.
Washington said, I am not running again, because he understood the self-restraint was absolutely essential to this country, so you don't have a king. He did not pardon his son. He did not order the Department of Justice to say, don't prosecute my son. So impressive.
Could have ordered the Justice Department to halt the prosecution of Hunter Biden, according to this court. Everyone understands he's a decent man.
I think Joe Biden has a chance here to stand up for the rule of law, to say the law is the law, no matter who it is, no matter if it's Trump or Biden. And remember, part of Trumpism's dangerousness is that it tears down institutions, important institutions of our democracy. So there is an opportunity here for Biden to say, the jury found him guilty. This is how it's supposed to work. Period, paragraph, end of story.
Have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
As I said last week, I will accept the outcome of this case and will continue to respect the judicial process as Hunter considers an appeal. The president said he won't touch it. He said he's not going to pardon his son. And it seems that Merrick Garland let it go through. How can the Justice Department be weaponized against Trump when all of that is happening?
The Democrats stand for the rule of law. Remember, law and order. And we've been saying that Trump's not above the law. Hunter Biden's not above the law. No one is above the law. And it is amazing to see the stark contrast between how Democrats handled today and how Republicans handled this whole thing over the last couple of weeks.
For years, these conservatives have been crowing about a politicized Justice Department, Biden politicizing it, and so on. What happened today? The Justice Department convicted the president's own son, his only living son. You heard the president say he would accept the outcome of the case. I know no other word for that, but presidential.
He even went so far as to say he wouldn't pardon his son. That's how much respect he has for the system.
The president has said that he will not pardon his son. What did you think of that?
I thought it was extraordinary. I mean, it was a moment of just moral clarity on the part of Joe Biden, and couldn't have been
in, starker contrast to the way Donald Trump has handled his own conviction.
He could still pardon him. He said he won't do that. All of that conduct, given that it's his son, is kind of, we should pause for a moment and think about how unbelievable that is. In a million years, if the shoe were on the other foot and Donald Trump was facing the prospect of his son being prosecuted by a Biden, me, if I had been held over, a Biden holdover or Obama holdover prosecutor, not in a million years would that have happened. So, some of the people on the right, the people who support Donald Trump, are trying to cast this as some clever ops program.
Yeah. Hunter Biden was found guilty by a jury of his peers, just like Donald Trump, because this is our justice system at work. The divide here is stunning, and it's a great reminder that one political party remains committed to the rule of law and the other doesn't.
Joe Biden has already proven he's willing to stand up for the rule of law in a way that we could all never imagine Donald Trump to do.
Pretty emphatic over the last few days that he does not plan to pardon or commute his son. What that really is him saying is, I don't plan to use the powers of the office, the powers of the presidency, to provide private relief for my family. In a sense, he's staking out a pretty bright line between being, as he says, a president and a dad. And that's not just an emotional expression. He's in effect saying, I don't think that I don't have a right, even if it's legal, and God knows it must be tempting, to use this power in a way that is not available to so many other Americans facing similar kinds of struggles. There's a kind of old school, sort of flinty core to his conception of how you are to be in the system, how you are to be as a person, a moral person, and ultimately how to contend with questions of power. One of the things that anybody who spends time around Joe Biden comes to know is that he's had this long-running focus on how much he is bothered by abuses of power.
Will accept the verdict no matter what it is, and that he has ruled out pardoning his own son. Contrast that from what we hear from Donald Trump. And again, we have to underline, in no uncertain terms, President Biden saying, I will accept the outcome. I will just accept what the jury decides here. That's the way our legal system.
Funky Style Live guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on Evil FB Network, Rumble, YouTube, and X. Roy Bleckert under X, but you can find us there. We're up and running on all of them, I think. Man, oh man, that Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, the despicable lying trash Democrat, nutcase, lying PMSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, all the other mockingbird, hostile media we got out there, flat said, was praising Joe Biden he wouldn't pardon his son, said he would never do it. Joe Biden said he would never do it. Let the legal process play out. No way. Oh, Joe Biden, look at and Trump, when he gets in there, what's he going? He's going to prosecute and this and tear up and do that. And Joe Biden is pure like Kamala Harris in the wind-driven snow. Every stinking one of them for months and months and years and 8 frickin' years, starting with the lies about Trump and Russia. The whole thing, Hunter freaking Biden knew he was lying. Joe Biden knew he was lying. They took money. It was laundered to Joe Biden. They were peddling, Hunter was peddling Joe Biden's influence along with his brother Jim. Who knows how much it is? Who knows how many secrets have been sold to the Chinese? How many hard-earned people, companies, people who invented stuff, and they just sold it to the Chinese for 2 cents on the dollar? And then up on Sunday evening, after Trump, isn't this coincidental? After Trump Sunday night or Saturday night announces Kash Patel as the FBI director, the next frickin' day is the unprecedented pardon that I've heard of. I haven't heard of anybody yet that has gotten 10 years of anything, back 10, 11 years. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. And all their trying bunch of crap on Donald Trump saying it was involved in Russia when it was them that was colluding with Russia. When it was Hunter over there within Ukraine, picking up tons of cash. And Biden saying, hey, if you don't stop all this process, these guys that are trying to expose it when he was VP, well, we're going to withhold $1 billion. This whole frickin' Ukrainian war, we've told you that 60% of that money has went to the oligarchs, Zelensky included, 10 people in Ukraine. A lot of it is that Soros, hot blue money that's been coming through, the dark money. It's been funding all these campaigns. Why do you think Zelensky's over there or coming over here and putting his arm around Trump and saying, hey, buddy? And then he's saying, well, we'll start considering a ceasefire because he knows the day is up. Well, the money train's getting shut off. So it's absolutely 1,000%. And don't believe me, Mark Halpern on his two-way was saying it today. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden knew he took money from the Chinese. And they stood there and denied it. Mark Halpern, who's not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy, one of those dumb hillbillies, broadcasting in a 2-bit station in a flannel shirt. Here's Joe Walsh, not the guitar picker. Another apologist who couldn't stand this one coming down the pike.
What do you make of all of this? What is likely to be the response on Capitol Hill to this breaking news?
Good to be with you. See, I told you so. They're all like that. So the next time any of us complain about anything Trump does, this pardon is just deflating. For those of us who have been out there for a few years now yelling about what a unique threat Donald Trump is, for Joe Biden to do something like this, Trump, nobody's above the law, we've been screaming. Well, Joe Biden just made clear his son Hunter is above the law. Donald Trump lies every time he opens his mouth, we've been screaming. Joe Biden repeatedly lied about this. The politicization of the justice system. Donald Trump and his people have been screaming. That's exactly what Biden said here.
Joe, is this a politics of purity? I mean, we had Donald Trump pardon Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
Is this a politics of purity? Boy, are they trying to see why not one of them can admit. We were on the take. Mad Cow, well, going from $30 to $25 million a year. Joy Reid's been paid, what, $3 million a year. And I don't know who of them clucks are on the 5. Behar and Whoopi, and who knows how much ridiculous amounts they're getting. They all knew they were sitting there lying. They knew they were lying through their teeth when they've been saying all this stuff. Now they're scared because this guy's coming back and coming back with a vengeance. And deservedly and rightly so. Like Joe Walsh, the congressman, said. Well, we've been screaming about it, and I think he's even a Republican, one of the yo-yos who was going against Trump. One of the establishment. Well, look at who's... Hundreds of times. This isn't just a slight mistake. That's why we played the Clay Travis. Well, that's where I got it from. I don't know if he got it elsewhere. We'll give them the credit. But I found on Clay Travis done that montage. There's still more on it. Vaya caramba. At least, even Polis, governor of Colorado, which is a big dumpster fire going on with all the gangs taking over everything over there, even he's had enough. Colorado Governor Jared Polis skewers Joe Biden over Hunter Biden pardon, first Dem to challenge lame duck president, put his family ahead of country. Now, they don't get, well, maybe Yokel Hokel and Gulag Gavin Newsom. They don't get about as much tutti fruitier than Gerald Polis of Colorado. At least, well, a couple of Joe Walsh, Gerald Polis have admitted. The vast majority, Morning Joe and Little Miss Mika over there and all that. And well, they did. Miss Alphabet Soup was on there, but they canceled all the press briefings for this week. Oh, really? Colorado Democratic Governor Jared Polis blasted President Biden's pardon of his son Hunter, saying Sunday that Biden put his family ahead of country and the move would tarnish his reputation. Well, I don't know if it, no, further solidifies. They need a little ditch Bankokian over there. Further solidifies the reputation of Joe Biden. While as a father, I certainly understand President Joe Biden's natural desire to help his son by pardoning him, I'm disappointed he put his family ahead of country, Polis 49 said on X. That's a pretty big step for a guy like Polis to make. But it's pretty accurate. This is as bad as a precedent that could be abused by later presidents who will sadly tarnish his reputation when you become president, your role of paterfamilias of the nation. So, like we said, Trump said, why isn't he pardoning all the J6 guys that they've been holding as political prisoners now for almost 6 or 4 years? Turnabout is fair play on this stuff. At least it should be. Here he is. Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the J6 hostages who've now been in prison for years? Such an abuse is a miscarriage of justice. Gotta love Donald J. Puts it right out there as it should be. Of course, Baghdad Bob Paskey, who was the former press secretary for the Biden crime family before Miss Alphabet Soup got it, was on MSNBC. His decision not to pardon his son is not an expression of restraint or his removal in any way for what his son has gone through and is continuing to go through, but of principle, because the justice system that convicted his only surviving son is the same justice system he vowed to protect. If he doesn't tell you who Joe Biden is, you really don't know what does. Joe Biden's character as a public servant has drove him to make clear that the law applies to everyone. Paskey said that last June. 5 months ago? Oh, Joe's not going to pardon. Isn't he just, boy, Jesus Christ is going to give up his nameplate, and now you're going to worship Joe Biden because he's that perfect. He's even more perfect. Jen Paskey, back in the day, Hunter Biden's story of Russian disinfo, dozens of former intel officials say. Oh, Hunter was never involved in Ukraine. The Hunter Biden laptop was untrue. We're going to debunk, deplatform the New York Times and all of us that said, hey, wait a minute. Shouldn't we at least, even at a minimum, check out to make sure that it's not his? And then after the election in 2020, and you got boy Biden in there, oh, well, I guess it was Hunter's laptop. Oh, I guess he lied to get a gun. Dudes are sitting 5, 10, 20 years of felons who are people that should not have a gun, which all you lefties have been on for the gun control and this, and you can't have them, da-da-da-da-da. Man, oh man. And Hunter Biden gets it wiped off. And for telling the truth is disinformation. We said that from the frickin' beginning when they were yelling all this stuff. They've been consistently lying through their teeth. This whole establishment, deep state, and I shouldn't say the words that I really should be calling these blankety blank blanks that have been screwing us over for years. It's absolutely. Man, again, I'm going to have to put the MAGA hat back on just so maybe it'll hold my head together so it won't explode. The Musketeer posted this. Community note says, Joe Biden, when he said no one is above the law, proposed community notes. By pardoning his son Hunter, not merely for a single crime, but for the actual or potential crimes he may have created over an 11-year period, Joe Biden has made it clear that some people are, in fact, above the law. Yeah, your own son, and you did it. While you were pointing fingers at everybody else, us who were commenting at school board meetings, to every twisted, stupid legal theory you could try to get Donald Trump, John Eastman, Trump's kids, whomever. This is from the Lincoln Project. These bunch of never Trumper pieces of crap. When MAGA cultists complain about weaponized justice system, remind them Biden has refused to show favoritism towards his son because he has got a commitment to the rule of law and our judicial system regardless of who's involved. Did we not tell you that this Lincoln Project and the neocon Bill Crystals and the Bushes, I've been saying that since 1980, when Ronald Reagan put George Bush on as vice president. So I didn't vote for him in Reagan in the November deal because I knew the fix was in. No, you can't be nice. You can't back down. You can't say, when they shout at you, you need to shout louder until you drill the truth down their throat because they don't know anything else. All these idiots, from the rainbowers to the idiot chicks that are shaving their heads and no sex till 2028, which might be a good thing that at least keeps them out of the gene pool for 4 years. Maybe they'll learn something in the next 4 after they figure a little prosperity is coming from Donald J. And guys like Ron Paul and Vivek and Elon and everybody else and Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, hopefully Matt Gaetz, a special prosecutor. Eric Trump writes, don't worry about the 112 subpoenas I have received over the last 8 years. Eric Trump's gotten 112 subpoenas. Was part of that, which one, the one Bragg brought in New York? Yeah, the Trump kids were in on that. They sued them too. 112 subpoenas. The other story going on, good luck Gavin Newsom's going to try to prepare. Already, Trump isn't even a month and a half. He's going to be in office. Gavin Newsom's already trying to sue Trump. You know, some people just do not get the message. Here's the local CBS station in Sacramento, since the great Ashley Zavala is off from KCRS3. Go. Oh, here.
Circumstance. The freshman lawmakers are being sworn in. A lot of family and friends here. But at the end of this session, that is when we will officially gavel in the extraordinary session where Governor Gavin Newsom is asking the California legislature to consider additional funding to the tune of millions, hundreds of millions, to the DOJ to help fight against lawsuits by the Trump administration and file lawsuits against the Trump administration. Now, as you might imagine, there are many different opinions on this here in the Capitol, depending on who you talk to. Certainly, many folks today have pointed out to me that some 38% of Californians voted for President Trump. They are mindful of that. They are mindful of how California voters feel about policies, but they say they also are mindful that they want to protect things like California gun laws. They want to protect things like...
They want to protect California gun laws? Then why aren't they demanding Hunter Biden sit in jail? Hunter Biden violated, all these dippy laws they wanted in there. The criminals don't care. In fact, you are emboldening criminals with all these stupid regulations. Do you think Hunter Biden cared that it was illegal for him to obtain a gun when he did it and got it anyway? Oh, of course they're mindful. Imperial County, we'll have the stats, maybe we'll do it to Imperial County, down there, Brawley, the very southeast, that big desert down there. 86% Latino, 1% went for Trump. First time they have since they haven't done this since 1988 in Poppy Bush. 86%. I think they went 942%. Actually, I think Hillary Clinton, they have almost 2-1. They're plus 24 in 2020 for Biden. They're now plus 1 on Trump. Oh, yeah, they're getting the message. Gotta love Bill Asaley, which he'll have, Jeff Gonzalez beat Joey Acuna, which goes from Imperial, goes up through the eastern end of Riverside and the southeastern end of San Bernardino counties. So that was one assembly seat we picked up, first one. Then we got Leticia Castillo out here from Riverside, Corona. Gotta love Billy Asaley. donning his dark MAGA hat at today's special session. Love it. Rick Grinnell posted this. Give a shout out to the best MAGA American first warrior, Bill O'Saley. Yes, everybody should be posting that. A shout out to Bill O'Saley to from that. It is. We got to have more. We got to have more guys and gals like this in our California legislature, in our city council, school boards, anything else. Lisa Saley's getting a couple. Castillo and Gonzalez to help him out. And we got Steve Choi to replace Josh Newman in the Senate. I think there was one other up north we might have got. We should have got more. We lost 3 congressional seats. Hopefully, people will understand why. There needs to be some candid conversations. Because as Vince Lombardi said, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. If you're not in power, they get to make the rules, and they will make the rules as they want them. It's absolutely fantastic. Also, a Saley put some legislation in to have us do E15, which would lower gas prices 20 cents a gallon. Now, they should rescind the CARB regulations. So what the special session should be doing is making sure the CARB, whatever it's going to be, 70, 60, 70, a buck a gallon, to eliminate that. Now, that would have been a productive use of that would have been a proper use of Newsom calling a special session. Not, oh, we're gonna sue Trump. Most of the elections must be certified now today because that was part of the special session was they were swearing in the new Assembly and Senate members, or all of them. The returning ones and the newbies. It's 100%, yeah. Emily Hoven from San Francisco Chronicle did it. That was a Saley's legislation that was introduced that would do the E85 up there on that. So good job.
Hey, Roy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right.
We're starting off the week good, or at least better than we did last couple of weeks.
2 days in a row. That's all I care about.
Well, it only seems to go to hell when you're there, so.
Yeah.
I think it's Jesse's got a hex on you or something.
Yeah, I think Zoom does.
It
knows that I hate computers right now, so it's going,
It's going to get you on that. We'll be joining the Mighty Met. Hopefully we'll have Dr. Kelly calling in, too. We'll get her take on some of this stuff and everything else going on in our crazy world.
All right, here we go.
.com was created for those who support America. PatriotSwitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
That funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met, 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire on the aforementioned AM band, joining our vast video audience in the Evil FB Network, Rumble, YouTube, X under Roy Blackert, so you can find it there. But we will, a lot of stuff going on, especially the Hunter Biden fiasco that is plaguing the Democratic Party, the squirrely mainstream media, everything else that's going on that. Man, oh man, what a heck of a day going on that. But we shall see if we can get it all back together. But the Democratic Party is just absolutely in shambles over Joe Biden pardoning the infamous Hunter Biden, the one he said he would never, ever, 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 ever pardon. And the whole lying sack of media yo-yos, Democratic and Republican, Lincoln Project, neocons, establishment, who said 20 gazillion, million, thousand times he would never do that, and Trump this, and Trump that, and Joe Biden, and oh, we're all going to die because us evil white hillbillies and some Latinos and blacks that were tired of getting hosed decided, you know, it was pretty good from 16 to 20, elected him, and now they're all having to eat their words. And I hope that S sandwich tastes very good to them. But as we usually do on a Monday, we have, as I have determined her, the premier physician in all the world and supreme expert in COVID-19, just about everything else, Dr. Kelly Victory. Welcome to Newswire with Roy.
Hey, great to be back. I hated that I missed last Monday. I'm totally off. We have so much to catch up on. We've got cabinet nominees and all kinds. We've got pardoning of Hunter Biden, all kinds of stuff to diss on.
Yeah, no, we'll start with the Hunter Biden thing because, maybe this is the icing on the cake, the coup de grace of everything else that's going on of that because. Man, you couldn't have scripted this. I thought he was going to wait either or if he was going to like a last minute put Harrison and she was going to do it, or he was going to wait till the last day like most of them do. I was surprised. The one thing that's surprising is he did it this early in the game. So you're getting all this firestorm coming out. But man, this is the best Christmas gift everybody who voted for Trump and Donald J. and everybody on down could have got, I thought, Dr. Kelly.
I agree with you because it has exposed the Biden administration and, frankly, all of the Democrats, which includes the mainstream media, for what they are, which is abject liars. They said to the American people over and over and over again, from Karine Jean-Pierre to Biden himself to every talking head in the mainstream media, said over and over again, not that Biden would not pardon his son because, quote, he respects the rule of law, because everyone's equal under the law, because he, unlike Donald Trump, because he respects the law. On and on and on. They were condescending and dismissive and absolutely hateful to people who suggested that Biden would do exactly what he turned around and did. And I think that this is terrific because now you are out in the open. I hope that everybody on our side plays those clips of, Micah Brzezinski and, Rachel Maddow and all the rest of them, the women on The View, the people on The View, talking about, the fact that Biden, quote, would not pardon his son because he somehow is holier than thou and believes that, in the rule of law. And now they've been exposed for what they are.
100%. I couldn't be happier. One thing that struck out, and I didn't even know this, Eric Trump said, what the hell? Eric Trump's been hit with 112 subpoenas. One of Trump's kids in the last 8 years, he's been hit with 112 subpoenas over this. And Hunter Biden can violate every trip that all these left-wing loons have been, from the gun control to, just outright theft. Even Mark Halperin, who is no right-wing conspiracist, said on his show today on Two Way, flat out, that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden both took money from the Chinese. He didn't say allegedly. He said they took it. That I heard. And that's how Gerald Polis, the Colorado governor, Joe Walsh, the representative from Illinois, who was no Trump fan, was out there castigating Biden for doing this. And the others are running for cover like it isn't, like they're trying to avoid it. But I mean, this is a culmination of probably what we've been going through for decades. And I think if we can capitalize on this momentum, we're going to not only are going to we have an interesting 4 years ahead, we're going to have a very productive 4 years ahead, Dr. Kelly.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I think that's what we all need to focus on, the abject hypocrisy of what Biden did here with pardoning his son, and the idea that he pardoned him, by the way, through 2024. So Hunter's got 29 days left to break the law and still get off scot-free. So go figure. But I think the thing that we need to focus on, Roy, is what we have to look forward to. Now, I will grant you some of President Trump's cabinet nominations have been somewhat perplexing, and I don't want to get into individual nominees. Some of them are perplexing and may be strategic for him because he knows they either can't or won't get confirmed. But in reality, overall, if you just look at the combination of people like Elon Musk, and Robert Kennedy Jr., and what that means for the next administration and what they will do to expose the fraud, the corruption, the graft that has gone on, I think it really is powerful. So although I may just, have issue with some of the individual nominees, I think overall we are directionally correct. And that's what we need to focus on.
100%. One of those I want to get to of that is this guy nominated for head of the National Institute of Health, Jay Bhattacharya, one of the three heads of the Barrington Declaration, which I think you were part of too, of that coming on as head of NIH. I think that's another thing, and we'll get to RFK in a minute, but I think that's one, maybe even more than RFK. I think they might be even more afraid of this guy just because of the credentials he comes walking in with. But what say you, Dr. Kelly?
Well, I think that Jay Bhattacharya is a good choice for the NIH. He certainly has impeccable credentials from Stanford. He was a very measured voice during the pandemic, not as gregarious or outspoken as I was. He straddled the fence a bit on certain issues, but in reality, he's been on the right side. And as you said, importantly, he was one of the authors of the Great Barrington Declaration, along with Martin Kulldorff and Sunita Gupta. And what that paper really said was, we are on the wrong track on how we are managing this pandemic. We are penalizing people. The lockdown will do more harm than good. We need to take a stratified approach to really protecting those people who are actually at the most risk from the virus and let everybody else go on their merry way, which is fundamentally what I was saying, but in much, more, much more firmly. I don't mince words. I don't take hostages. So Dr. Bhattacharya is a great choice. Bobby Kennedy Jr., although again, I don't have to agree with every single stance he has, but directionally, he is 100% correct. He is going to expose fraud and corruption. He is not going to allow people at our three-letter agencies, the FDA and CDC, for example, to own parts of patents, Roy, and have financial gain from approving medications or treatments that they are in the position to recommend or mandate on the American people. Bobby Kennedy's not going to allow ongoing gain-of-function research. The weaponization of pathogens, viruses, and bacteria. Because look what's happened as a result of that. Bobby Kennedy's not going to allow Big Pharma to continue to fund the medical journals like the Lancet and JAMA and the British Medical Journal. Because when you do that, those journals become nothing more than the marketing arm for Big Pharma. There is no integrity left. And I could go on and on about the things he's going to do. He will undoubtedly attack the idea of Big Pharma advertising on television so that they end up owning and controlling the media and keeping from the American public the truth. There are many things. So I think, although you might disagree with an individual nominee over a stance that they've had in the past, if in general their positions were correct, then I will support them. If on the other hand, their positions were largely off base, then those are the people who I will ultimately be speaking out and against.
We're on with Dr. Kelly Victory, also on AM 1490 AM, also broadcasting on Rumble, the Evil FB Network, YouTube, and the last couple of weeks we've been on X. We're trying that out of that since Elon Musk is on it. He's been one of the ones that's been deplatformed, like Dr. J with the Great Barrington Declaration, like the New York Post with the Hunter Biden laptop, and all of us and you and everybody else that's been deplatformed, tried to be debunked of all this stuff, like Robert Kennedy Jr., who the Democrats tried to keep off the ballot when he ran. I think, and then even in that, this is the kind of guy Bobby Jr. is. He tried to make a deal with the Harris campaign, and they told him to go pound sand. He didn't really in no choice. Him and Nicole Shanahan didn't really have any choice. They either had to go with Donald J. or they were going to be completely out. It would have been status quo. We would have been arguing about the same stuff we've been arguing about the 4 years ago with COVID and the health thing going on. Now we have a chance. We have the opportunity to actually make some real reforms, not only in our health and our economy, our trade, immigration, and practically foreign policy, practically everything else, Dr. Kelly.
No, I agree 100%. And that's what I think we need to focus on is we are directionally correct. We can improve and get back to where we should be in healthcare, which amongst other things, Roy, is returning to the 4 pillars of medical ethics that starts with autonomy, the idea that you should never be mandated to participate in a medical experience. You should never be mandated to take an experimental vaccine. These are the sorts of things that I think Robert Kennedy Jr. will address. On top of it, I think there are other things beyond healthcare that are very important to me. The idea of we witnessed during COVID unprecedented censorship in this country. The idea that you could be shut down, kicked off social media, as you were referencing, the idea that, I certainly was, Bobby Kennedy certainly was. I was kicked off YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter for months and months and months for supposedly spreading disinformation, information that has now all been proven to be absolutely correct. We have got to protect our First Amendment. And I believe that Donald Trump and Bobby Kennedy and the other people, Pam Bondi, the other people that he is putting in place, I think that those people will do that. We've got to protect our Second Amendment rights. We cannot allow ourselves, the Constitution was written for a reason, and it is really the blueprint for what we are supposed to be following in this great republic. And I think for the first time in a long time, I have hope that we are going to return to those fundamental values.
The one thing, and Trump kind of hinted at this a couple of days ago on the tweet, on the X machine, that saying, well, should I appoint a special prosecutor on the first day? I think he said to COVID and Fauci. And I think he's saying, and I hope, since Matt Gaetz didn't get to be Attorney General, I hope he appoints Matt Gaetz. I would appoint him special prosecutor emeritus, and I would list all this stuff. I mean, everything. Ukraine, health, he's special prosecutor on COVID, everything. You can look at Fauci, you can look at all this stuff that's going on. Because a special prosecutor has to have some sort of deal. So I would draw it in the biggest deal. I'd give the pit bull job to Matt Gaetz and say, go for it, buddy. What say you, Dr. Kelly?
I'll tell you right now, the Dems think they were afraid of him as AG. Be careful what you wish for. They managed to get him, ousted from the role as AG. And now I guarantee he will be put in a position that he doesn't need to be confirmed, where it doesn't take the Senate confirmation. And he is likely to be a special counsel appointed. And Pitbull is the nice, is truly, he's going to be a heat-seeking missile, I think is close to, he's going to be a heat-seeking missile. And I suspect that's exactly what will happen. And so a number of these appointments, when the Democrats push back, I'll tell you, you can pretty much tell if an appointment's good if the Democrats have their hair on fire and are running around screaming and screeching on The View, then you know it's a good appointment. If people on the left, on the other hand, are applauding the appointment, whether on healthcare it's Peter Hotez, whether the bad actors on the left are applauding the appointment, then you know it was a bad choice. So let that be your guide. But I agree with you. I think Matt Gaetz will end up being in a position where he does not need Senate confirmation, and the Democrats are going to rue the day that they didn't have him as AG.
This is one, and I think the reason Trump mentioned is because the one who's not 100% in control of himself, Joe Biden, said this little vignette about how he praised Anthony Fauci. Here's just a short clip we have from that here.
A special thanks to one of the great public health officials, a true hero, who we've led this fight against HIV/AIDS, Dr. Anthony Fauci.
So I guess what was AIDS Day or something the other day of that, and that now, and I believe I'm right, but you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Fauci's claim to fame was supposedly the AIDS research. Actually, from the stuff I've read, he actually did more harm to people who had AIDS and HIV than all the credit that he's supposedly getting now for that. That was one of his first failures 30 years ago before he conned us into this COVID deal, Dr. Kelly.
100%. And the bottom line is, although people, rightly point out that COVID began under former President Trump, the harms that were done happened under the Biden administration. I have full faith, you'll never be able to prove it, but I believe that if Trump had stayed in office, he would never have gone down the dreadful path that the Biden administration did. The Biden administration loved the fact that they could take complete and total tyrannical control. They could shut down beaches and shut down schools. They caved to the teachers union. They could, mandate where people traveled or where they didn't, whether they worked or whether they didn't. This was all about control. And I do not believe for a minute that had Trump stayed in office, that things would have gone down that way. I think that Trump was fooled initially by Anthony Fauci. Many people were. I was not. I've had long experience with him going back to the HIV/AIDS debacle. But President Trump is not a scientist, and he certainly does not have a full understanding of things like immunology. But I believe that had he stayed in office, he would have very quickly realized exactly what Anthony Fauci was about, and would have realized he was being misguided. Biden, on the other hand, loved all of it, and he surrounded himself by a bunch of petty tyrants who led us down the path of the COVID debacle. And it will be decades, unfortunately, Roy, before we fully understand just how much damage was done. So I think it's critically important to put somebody like, somebody who's really a shaker and mover like a Robert Kennedy Jr. at the helm at HHS, because that's the kind of leadership we need, somebody who is bold and willing to make change.
The one A to that wouldn't have happened if Trump would have went the 4 years. But like I said, maybe we had to go through that, just because we didn't appreciate what we had. But the 1A to that is we wouldn't have had the inflation, the $2 trillion of just giveaway money of, under of the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, which was just trying to buy votes and trying to keep everybody in line of that and really make you an enslaved to them. But that was really what, besides damaging our health of all they did with COVID and everything and doing that. But I mean, the economic damage that was done under the Biden administration has been absolutely just unbelievable. But maybe it took that to open a lot of people's eyes that weren't completely open. I will say this, and if people don't know it, Imperial County, California, which is the very southeastern area of California, Brawley and El Centro and things like that. There's probably only 100,000 people, but it's a very good agricultural area. It's 86% Hispanic now. It hasn't voted. This is the first. It voted. Donald Trump is leading by 1%. Biden won it by 24. Hillary Clinton won it in 16, 2-1. And again, the 86% Latino community in California voted in the majority for Donald Trump. I think that's what maybe we had to go through this 4 years so we would fully appreciate and get fully on board with the things that need to be changed. We got about a minute left.
I agree with you, Roy, wholeheartedly, and I think that's the crux of it. Many people, even card-carrying lifelong Democrats, people who still to this day think of themselves as liberal, said, I can't even put all I know is what's happening is bad. Prices are up. My kid, nothing is good. Nobody can answer the critical question, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago in the affirmative? Everybody knows it. And once that happens, Hispanics, blacks, minorities of every sort, immigrants, everybody said, I can't do this anymore. And regardless of what they said out in public, when they went behind the curtain or they filled out their ballot in private, they pulled the lever for Donald Trump. And I think it's fascinating, little fun tip. The only states that Kamala Harris won were ones that did not require voter ID.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks for being on, Dr. Kelly. We'll do this again soon.
Chat soon. Bye-bye.
You got it. Dr. Kelly Victory, saying it only as she can on that. It's something else of that. Oh, we got a lot of work to do, of course, but we'll get it done by hook or by crook. And I think Joe Biden's actually given us an assist on that. I think he really voted for Trump. As you know, I've been talking about standing up for our country, doing something. These big box stores stayed open while the little guys closed. Will our voices be heard? Does voting with our dollars work? PatriotSwitch.com gives patriots the power to walk away from the big box stores forever. Stop supporting the enemies of freedom now. That's why PatriotSwitch.com was created. For those who support America, PatriotSwitch.com. Is your car doing the hucklebuck and afraid you will be stuck? Well, head on down to Toyota of San Bernardino, Nissan of San Bernardino, Subaru of San Bernardino, in the San Bernardino Auto Mall, and catch a Camry, look ravishing in a Rogue, or be styling in a Subaru. Don't forget I-10 Toyota in Indio for those of you in the lower desert. You deserve to be the happiest human on the planet. So head on down to one of these 4 great dealerships for the car of your dreams. Spread the word. IE Newswire is now on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 p.m. on Rumble and KMET 1490 AM, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Join all the cool kids who want an eclectic look at the news without all the filters of the evil scoundrels of social media and the despicable dorks of the dominant press. Don't bumble and stumble. Subscribe to IE Newswire on Rumble and roll with the best hillbilly hoedown around. That's it. If you want to buy American, go to PatriotSwitch.com. If you need a new Subaru or Toyota, go to one-click Cummings Freight Dealerships at San Bernardino Auto Mall at the 10 and 215 freeways. Don't forget I-10 Toyota down in the lower desert. Oh, man, we got a lot of stuff to do. Things are looking good. And in fact, as disingenuous as what Joe Biden did of saying that, but really that's a gift. I mean, I think ultimately we're going to look back at it as a gift because again, it's exposed practically everything we've been saying for years, decades, centuries of what's been going on. And now they don't, how do you refute this? I mean, after on item number 9,432. Okay, isn't it kind of obvious? Hopefully we'll be able to do a lot of this stuff. We'll get into Millie down there in Argentina, how quickly he's turned that around by putting, in less than a year, Argentina's turned completely around from destitute to people having opportunity like they haven't had in decades. In less than a year, just by putting free market principles in place. It works. It will always work. Nothing else you're going to do is going to change that. That'll do it for today. As we usually say at this time, mandatory, you're back here in 23 hours live to hear the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya!
The proceeding.
All right, Roy, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You got it.